Hi, and welcome to another edition of The Wrap. I'm your host, Adam Westgate, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favourite trilogies, film series of all time. We're going to be talking about the Chris Nolan version of the Batman films. And Batman! I am done. I am ready to go for this. So, if you haven't seen these films and you've been living under a rock, please, this does contain spoilers. So if you don't want to know what happens in these films, do not watch on. If you want to like, subscribe, whatever, please do show us some love. But we're going to kick off now by talking about Batman, the Chris Nolan universe. Now, the first thing I'll say is that there are 3 films. It was a trilogy, and it was a different time when they released it because this was pre-Marvel universe. I want to say that from the offset, I've always thought this, but now I'm convinced even more that they could have easily have done a 4th film and just not been narrowed into that trilogy box that a lot of people are narrowed into. And it was more so then. I mean, actually, it was quite a big commitment to have 3 superhero films back then. But they worked. They had a beginning. Batman Begins. You know, you see him go off with Ra's al Ghul, whatever you want to call him. And he has his beginning by becoming the Bruce Wayne that we know, rather than the Bruce Wayne that was literally just mourning his parents. Still mourns his parents, but he becomes tough. You have The Darkknight, which is the one with the Joker, obviously. I mean, Scarecrow's in all of them, by the way, which I actually like the continuity of Scarecrow being in. And with Joker, all hell breaks loose. You've got Harvey Dent as well, the story of his fall. He's not actually a bad guy till right at the end, and I think it's actually more impactful for that. And then you've obviously got Bane and Talia al Ghul, who again, sort of a pattern going on here, that Talia al Ghul isn't really the bad guy until the end, although she's orchestrating the whole thing. So you could argue that we didn't know, or maybe you did know, maybe you did guess. Comment and let me know if you did. So she's the mastermind, but we don't really see that until the end. A little bit like Harvey Dent, except that he goes a little push, and he goes mad. But madness descends. So, I would say that you could have easily got a 4th film out of this. Now, Chris Nolan's perspective on these films was he wanted to be a little bit more realistic. He wasn't actually a comic book fan per se, so you had an outsider coming in and dealing with the fallout of Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. Batman Forever I actually enjoyed, but it was a bit silly, especially the scene in it where it's like, oh, hang on a minute, Harvey Dent had the acid thrown on him. Here comes Batman in the courtroom. Oh, where did he, get changed? Where did he hide? How did they not see him? They're pretty useless in Batman Forever. And I know I'm going a little bit into Batman Forever, and this isn't a Batman Forever review, but why would the Harvey Dent character go from, oh, the world is unjust, to going, I'm robbing a bank now? That doesn't make sense. Whereas at least Harvey Dent in this series did actually make sense, because he literally thought it was unjust and had literally gone off the deep end and was flipping a coin and going, justice, justice. You know, in his warped way where there was no justice, in my opinion. There you go. Now you know my political beliefs on Harvey Dent. Shoot me now. But it made sense that he went from the one state of affairs to being the White Knight to the other state of affairs, you know, where he wasn't the Golden Boy anymore. That made sense. So a lot of Chris Nolan stuff through the 3 films. It was an arc that made sense, so I was really happy with that. It was gritty, it was well done. The Joker especially. I will say that Heath Ledger was amazing, but I am now glad with the new Joker film that we finally gone, okay, there can be another Joker. I mean, his performance was fantastic. It really was up there. I still think even if he hadn't died, it still would have been considered up there. I don't think this is one of those, oh, he died and we'll say it's good and blah, blah, blah. No, I do genuinely think that he did a good performance. Of course, the fact he died before the film highlighted it more. That's just, you're in denial if you don't think that. You're literally just not thinking straight. But it was an Oscar-winning performance. It was a great rendition of the Joker into the more, it's a bit loose, it's a bit, you know, because he was less of a sad character than the recent Joker standalone film. He was a sad character. The other one was just a loon, but he was a loon with some street cred. But yeah, the other guy just had been looking after his mother and had been a loser his entire life. You know, as far as most people saw. Very different contrast. And that was another reason why I liked it, because they didn't try and do Heath Ledger. But I've gone off again into reviewing another film. But the point is with this arc de triomphe of these films was that, yes, they could have got a 4th one out of it. My bugbear was the Penguin. Like, Chris Nolan was quoted as saying about, oh, the Penguin's not realistic. Really? So a short guy with a waddle who's English, because he is English in it, and actually in the games he's English, who literally has an umbrella that shoots bullets, which wouldn't be too hard a tech to really imagine. But maybe you don't even have to have that. Maybe literally could have been that he just carries an umbrella and it doesn't shoot. whatever. The Penguin was a gangland boss. You could have had that probably either before or after, no, probably before the Joker, I would say. Probably before the Joker, because the gangs get really desperate. You could have had the Penguin be that, and then they could have descended into madness, or vice versa, if you wanted the Joker in to get the big blockbuster feel to it. And of course, one thing that was a shame was that the Joker was supposed to actually be a part of the last film, but of course Heath Ledger died. That I do understand why they didn't recast in that universe. Unlike saying that there should have been another Joker in that universe, I get it. And the film, the last one, The Dark Knight Rises, was good enough on its own. Yes, it would have been great to have had the Joker in. But Mr. Wayne, Mr. Bane, I think it holds power over you. Tom Hardy was so good as Bane. And Talia al Ghul reveal at the end was great. The nuclear bomb going off, I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than that. And Batman swanning off into the sunset to see Alfred on his holiday, or his vacation in their case. That was a lot of great fun, and it just capped off the series great. I mean, Batman Begins was quite slow in starting, but you needed it in order to see the different parts. And you actually went into the gangs more than normally they would. They'd be like, there's some gangs, I want some money. Pew, pew, pew. And that would be it. But they actually went into it, and actually went into Batman taking them down, which made the Joker coming in going, guys, I can make this pencil disappear. And him going trying to manipulate them in order to use their fear for him to gain control in his own chaotic way. It made sense they turned to a force that they didn't know, couldn't control, and feared. It's a bit like the whole Cersei Lannister thing with the Faith. She didn't know them, she made a mistake by getting them involved and putting them in a position of power. Now, she dealt with them a lot better than the gangs dealt with the Joker, because they never went back to how it was. But he was right when he explained to Batman, these fools think that it's going to go back to the way things were, but I know it won't. And that was actually, I'm going to quote that as being the best scene, is the scene in the police station where Batman and the Joker have the chat. A lot of it's the whole great thing of the bad guy speaks a lot of truth, when the bad guy just goes, I'm bad, I'm really, really bad, I'm bad, and it's just like, the bad guy never thinks that they're the bad guy. Bane never thought he was the bad guy. Scarecrow never thought he was the bad guy. The Joker never thought he was the bad guy. Harvey Dent certainly didn't think he was the bad guy. It was great. They literally thought they were justified, and did make Batman question himself. Ra's al Ghul definitely didn't think he was the bad guy. He definitively thought Batman was the bad guy. And the Joker also thought that Batman was great, which is the great Joker-Batman dynamic when they have it, that the Joker's basically in love with Batman. Didn't have Harley Quinn be jealous, but hey-ho, can't have everything. So overall, I'd say that the films were fantastic in the way they were put together, from the slow beginning, getting the gangs in, getting desperate to grab the Joker. The Joker throws everything into chaos, including Harvey Dent, the babyface, white meat, white knight guy, and pushes him off. Batman has to take the fall. Batman goes away. Batman comes back when a nuclear bomb's about to explode, because if nothing else is going to get him back, total destruction of Gotham. Oh yeah, that'll do the trick, and he's basically crippled. He also had the cripple angle, you know, where he went, Bane broke his back and he did it, and how did you come back? And then you had Tom Hardy as Bane, so what are you moaning about? And he stops the nuclear bomb. You can't go further than that, other than literally doing a fourth film now on the Death Star. So if that happens, I want my royalties. Death Star Batman. Not sure how his Batplane would take it, or his Bat spaceship. Bat Millennium Falcon. We're getting inventive. But I'd give these a solid 8 out of 10 over the 3 films. I just love them. They're just great films, and it's a shame they didn't do more, because the DC universe hasn't really worked out now. I did like Batman v Superman. I did like the Justice League film, but it was never going to work out because it just was rushed. Unlike the last set of films, which focused on one thing. So hopefully the Batman, the new one, whenever it does come out, Ben Affleck, I'm looking at you. Hopefully it becomes as good as these films, and I hope that we get a good set of films out of them, at least not another, oh, good one, bad one, good one, bad one. Oh. I'll give a shout out to Michael Keaton as well. Those films were really good. So that's my review. Thank you very much. Comment, like, subscribe below, and yeah, whatever you think, I'd love to know. Even the older films. I reviewed other films in this as well, sort of inadvertently. So let us know. Thank you very much. I've been Adam Westgate. See you soon.